Hello and welcome to In Conversation with WLV Doctoral College. I'm Dr. Deborah Curitan and I work in research and development at the University of Wolverhampton. Today I'm here with Dr. Daisy Black. So Daisy, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little about your role at the university?
Hello, I'm a senior lecturer in English literature, but I specialise in medieval drama and drama more generally as well. So I'm a bit of a crossover person, and I'm teaching on lots of the undergraduate courses here and teach a lot of the drama, the Shakespeare, the medieval literature at the university.
Thank you, Daisy. And as I've said this before, and it's totally true. Every time I listen to Daisy talk about her work, I just want to study medieval literature. So Daisy, this series of In Conversation is all about careers. So could you tell us a little bit about your journey from your PhD to where you are now?
Yes, I was extremely lucky actually. So I finished my PhD. I think my Viva was on Valentine's Day. So I knew I'd passed because I knew my examiner needed to get back to take his partner out for dinner. But I had the Viva, and then a job came up at the University of Hull, which was a temporary contract. Someone had got a Leverhulme grant, and he happened to specialise in a lot of the things I do, especially early drama. So they needed someone who could just slot in and pick up the medieval and Renaissance teaching. So that was extremely lucky. I was extremely nervous at the interview, but they were very lovely to me, and I prepared and rehearsed a lot for that interview. And I got that job, which is very, very unusual to go into something quite quickly. I did have quite a lot of teaching experience from before then, because during my PhD I taught at Manchester University, just doing odd modules here and there. But some of the key mentors throughout my career came from those colleagues at Hull who were extremely supportive and lovely, and even though I wasn't going to be there for more than 16 months, they still invested a lot of time in me and supported me in my work, which was great. Finished that contract. Then I had what is more common. I had about a year and a half of job seeking hell. I think I had, I don't know how many applications I did, but I think I had at least 6 or 7 interviews. So I kept getting to the stage where my CV was really good, my cover letter was really good, but I just was coming second or third, or just not getting the position once I got to interview. So that was pretty difficult. It taught me a lot of resilience and a lot of empathy, that period. And then I saw this job at Wolverhampton, which was a 0.5, so a half-time but permanent post. And I nearly didn't apply because it said that they were looking for someone from any discipline for their English literature department. And I looked at what they were doing, and they were doing lots of really fantastic work, especially in modern literature. But I thought, well, what will they want a medievalist for? But I thought, you know what, I'll just send an application in, and I wasn't expecting to get an interview. And I did, and it turned out that the thing they really wanted was the kind of weird early stuff I do, which was wonderful. And I got on very well with everyone at the interview. But as again, by that point, my self-confidence wasn't hugely great after, all these failed interviews. And when our head of department phoned up to offer me the job, I think I said, "Are you sure?" Because I'd talked myself out of it. But I've been at Wolves now for 5 years, and have had lovely colleagues. And during that time, I moved to full-time eventually, and then I got my senior lectureship last year. And one of the great things about having a permanent post is it's meant I can build on previous years' experience and sort of build things that last. Whereas when you're on temporary contracts, you kind of will fly in, create loads of lesson plans, and then won't get to do it again. So I found that it's been brilliant being here. And then I think it was a year into my position at Wolverhampton, I applied for the AHRC BBC New Generation Thinker Awards and got that, and that's absolutely helped my career because it's meant I can do lots of public engagement, lots of broadcasting, and bringing my research to a wider audience. But also I've got to know a lot of other recent early career researchers as well through doing that. And one thing I've noticed is that it's all helped their career in some way, whether they've been postgraduates who've then used that to get their first jobs, or slightly more established scholars like me who've found that's been a really good way of conducting their research. So that was one of the biggest things I did that changed the direction of my career.
That's fabulous, and it's a really great honour to be awarded So we were absolutely thrilled when you were successful. So you did really well in that application. So it just shows how brilliant you are. So could you tell us a little bit about if was there anything that you really wished that you knew right at the very beginning of your career that you now know that would have helped you along the way?
Yes, there's quite a lot actually, but I think the biggest thing in terms of my mental health is knowing that absolutely everyone has imposter syndrome. Everybody, like the undergraduates, the postgrads, the lecturers, the fancy professors, like all of us worry that we are winging it and we will get caught out one day. I went to a really useful feminist conference for women academics. I think it was around the time I was finishing my PhD, and there was a workshop on what imposter syndrome is. And why so many, especially female academics, have it, this feeling we're not quite good enough, that we don't quite know enough to do our jobs yet, etc. And nearly everyone in the room, when it was described, put their hand up and saying that they'd had it, including some of the female academics I really respect most in the world. So finding that out, albeit a bit late, was quite useful. But related to that, I think if you feel you can't trust your own judgment of your own work, instead trust that of your peers and your publishers and your teachers, because you do need a sounding board outside yourself to keep your confidence going, and that's really key. And I was very lucky to have a few people that did that for me. Another couple of things. First of them, certainly for me, was that all the public engagement work I do has a fancy term, and it's called impact. Universities are really looking out for people who can communicate their research to the public. And shortly after my PhD, I was doing a lot of theatre work, because that's where I came from, essentially, with historical and religious institutions, doing bits of directing and script writing and storytelling for them. And that really helped with getting jobs. So if you're someone who does do that kind of thing, whether it's podcasting or public writing or blogs or anything like that, anything that brings your studies to a wider audience, keep a note of everything you've done, the numbers of people who came to those things, any feedback you've got from them, because that will be useful for future job applications. And the last thing, which I still am struggling with, is jealously guard your time for projects that primarily benefit you. So here I'm talking about your research, any job on funding applications, promotion applications, and academic service to others as well, that brings networks that benefit you, but not necessarily kind of, your wider university. And I'd say that's very important as an early career researcher, because no one else will do that for you. And your time will easily be nibbled up by teaching and admin, which fills to, whatever time you think you have available, it will fill all of it. So do be a bit selfish as well, because that's the thing you really need to do to further your career in the long run.
Thank you. There's loads of really good tips there for postgraduate researchers and early career researchers, but do you have any finishing tips that you'd like to share?
Make friends. I would say the colleagues I've met through the key conferences in my field, but especially the Gender and Medieval Studies Conference, which is obviously my area, they've been really important influences on my career. They've kept my enthusiasm for my work alive, and they've also been really true friends I can rely on and tell everything to, and share this crazy time in academia with. And I'd say, online conferencing at the moment is great, because you can attend sessions abroad cheaply, but it's really rubbish for this kind of networking. And I know a lot of our postgrads are struggling with that. So, don't be afraid to email scholars whose work or conference papers and articles you admire, and maybe be cheeky and ask for a Zoom chat. Most of us are really missing that kind of networking at the moment, and we'll be quite happy to help. Likewise, help others. This is whatever stage you're at. I wouldn't be where I am without a whole list of senior academics and peers who've helped me get there. So make sure you're that person for someone else, and it's you can do that whatever stage you're at too. A rather cheeky bit of advice, which I have on my wall actually, which is bear yourself with the confidence of a mediocre white man. Put yourself out there, be brave, apply for lots of jobs, even if you only fulfill 70% of the criteria. Apply for things like the New Generation Thinker Award, seek out public lecturing opportunities, write to departments looking for teaching work, hustle, set up your own networks and support, propose publications, really go for it. Actually, have project confidence in yourself, even if you feel you don't have it. And it is a bit of a hustle, academia, and it's a hard skill to learn. But if you can get there, it's a really good way of finding new opportunities or even making them for yourself. And the last one's a little depressing, but don't make academia your only career option. Develop your other skills and interests too. These might well be very, very useful in a later career, either inside or outside academia. So all of my performance and creative stuff would have been useful if I decided not to go into academia, but actually I've found a way of using that in my work too. It's even worse out there than it was when I graduated, and that wasn't great. The jobs climate is really rancid. So don't read that as a reflection of your worth or your work or your brilliance. You are brilliant. You're doing a PhD. That's amazing. It's just the system that's terrible at the moment. And there are lots and lots of jobs out there that aren't just academic ones that really value our creative and critical research skills. So don't set your self-worth up as to whether or not you get an academic post. I know I'm speaking from a position of privilege here, but there are lots of other things you can do and lots of places you'll be very well treated. So yeah, don't let it get to you.
Thank you. That's really inspirational, Daisy. As always, you always are. So thank you for sharing that with our viewers.
You're welcome. And I just want to say, actually, Wolverhampton has great peer support, and Deborah's certainly one of the colleagues that has supported me a lot over the last 5 years. So yeah, you're in a good place to be doing this work.
Thank you. So thank you for sharing that with us, Daisy, and thank you for talking to us, and thank you everybody for listening. It's lovely to see you all here. As always, if you've got anything that you'd like us to cover in these lectures or these talks, sorry, if you'd like to pop that into the chat below, we'll happily cover the things that you want us to cover. Also, while you're there, do press the subscribe button and also press the bell. It will tell you when we upload. We upload every Friday at 10 o'clock, so look out for our future vlogs. So I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye.